I'm gonna hold your hand when I say this, but the beauty brands that you love are lying to you, and there is one thing that you need to know so you don't fall for their scams, and that is the 1% line. Bonjour tout le monde, my name is Stanley Jean. I am a cosmetic chemist, and you might be wondering what the heck is the 1% line. Well, basically it is the point at which brands can choose to label their ingredients in whatever order they want to. So the FDA requires that all brands that sell products in the United States have to list their ingredients in order of greatest concentration to least concentration. So basically means the ingredient that has the highest concentration is going to be listed first, then the ingredient with the second highest concentration is going to be listed second, and you're just going to follow this pattern all the way up until it reaches an ingredient that's going to be less than 1%. Well, this is what brands use to kind of trick some of their consumers into purchasing their products, because now they're able to list their ingredients anything below 1% in any order and kind of make the ingredient list look a little better and make you think that you might have more of one type of ingredient, like an active ingredient, than you actually do. Active ingredients are those sexy ingredients that brands like to use to get you to purchase their product. They include things like ceramides, niacinamide, hyaluronic acid, and botanical extracts. Now, active ingredients are really expensive, so they do drive up the cost of the final formula, which is why a lot of brands like to use them at 1% or lower. But I've heard of some brands using them at 0.0001%, which is basically nothing. And the only reason why they're using it at that level is because they want to claim that ingredient on their ingredient list and get you to purchase the product. Since anything below 1% can be written in any order, some brands like to use this as a way to kind of fluff up their ingredient list, because they can use their active ingredients that are really low and put them as high up as possible in order to make it seem like there's a lot more of it in the formula than there actually is. So if you're looking at an ingredient list, you might be wondering, how can you find the 1% line? The easiest way is going to be to look for ingredients that are going to be used at 1% or less. The best indicator is going to be preservatives. You want to look for things like phenoxyethanol, ethyl hexaglycerin, and propyl glycol, or any other type of preservative like parabens too, because these are going to be sitting around the 1% line. What you should know about phenoxyethanol is that it has a maximum use rate of 1%. So it's safe to assume that anything below phenoxyethanol is going to be used at less than 1%. But if you have phenoxyethanol that is combined with other types of preservatives, then it's going to be used at a lower concentration. So that's how brands are going to be able to kind of trick you and kind of finagle some like tactics in there to get you to make a purchase. For example, a brand can use a kiwi extract at 0.02% in combination with phenoxyethanol at 0.9% and ethyl hexaglycerin at 0.1%. Now, you would think that the kiwi extract would be listed behind or after the preservative system, but because all three ingredients are used below 1%, the brand can actually list it before phenoxyethanol. It sucks, but it is a fact of the beauty industry, so it's going to be important for you to be able to pick out other indicators in order to find the 1% line. One indicator is going to be thickeners like xanthan gum or carbomer, because these can be very effective at lower concentrations. I've actually never used either one of them at more than 0.5% to get like a gel consistency to my product. You can also look for pH adjusters like citric acid or sodium hydroxide, because depending on the formula or the product that's being sold, this is going to be a good indicator of the 1% line, because those are going to usually be below 1%. Let's go ahead and do a live demonstration. We're going to be looking at the Verse Sweet Relief Overnight Barrier Balm. So looking at their website, I'm noticing that they don't have any call out ingredients with percentages. That would be the first thing I would look for. They don't have that, so you can't really tell where different ingredients are or where your 1% line is from that. So we're going to find our key ingredients that are going to help us figure out the 1% line. Now, I personally think the 1% line is going to be where tocopherol is, because I didn't tell you earlier in this video, but with tocopherol, it's used to help keep the oil phase from oxidizing and going rancid. But professional formulators who know what they're doing are going to be using it around like 0.3% or 0.5%, the max I've seen it. A lot of DIY people are going to be using it like 1%. But actually, if you use it that high, it could cause more damage to the product than actually help it. So, which is why I think the 1% line is definitely at tocopherol. You're also going to notice that it's going to have the capryl glycol, which is a preservative, along with 1,2-hexanediol, which is going to be preservative system, and ethyl hexaglycerin and potassium sorbate. Like, all of the preservatives are down there. We also see that pea extract is between tocopherol and the other preservatives. Now, depending on how the product feels, the 1% line could also be where sunflower wax is, but I haven't made the product, so I can't really like figure it out. Now that I looked through the ingredient list a little bit more, I could bump the 1% line maybe a little bit higher around the Garcinia indica seed butter, which is cocoa butter, because from my understanding, cocoa butter is a pretty expensive, luxurious butter. So I personally think it's highly unlikely that it's going to be used at a really high percentage. So I always think it'll be maybe around like 1%. If not, then maybe 2%, 3% the max. But it's also around the active ingredient, Saccharomyces ferment. So I'm thinking like around there would be the 1% line, which is like halfway on your ingredient list. I could be wrong, but that's my guess. So if I was going to reverse engineer this product, that is where I would start and adjust from there in order to try to match what I make to whatever the actual product feels like. Let's go ahead and look at another product. This is from Regimen Lab. This is their Cream Skin Barrier Moisturizer. So looking on the website, you can see that they have a ceramide complex at 2.5%. That doesn't mean that the ceramides are all used at 2.5%. It means that there's a mixture or a proprietary blend of ceramides, and that's totaling up to 2.5%. So that's not gonna give us too much information of where the 1% line is, but I do really like how they have broken down their actives on their website as call out ingredients, so you know exactly what you're getting. So for example, they have colloidal oats, 1%. Then above that, you're going to see some ceramides. Now, their call out also said that they have bisobolol at 1%. So we know that the ceramides are between the bisobolol and oat flour. So the ceramides, or these ceramides at least, are going to be at 1% exactly. I'm thinking the 1% line starts at bisobolol, possibly ceteryl glucoside and ceteryl alcohol, maybe depending on how much of the emulsifier that they use, because that's an emulsifier blend. There's a possibility that that could be where your 1% line is, but I'm thinking it's around the bisobolol. That one was actually pretty easy. The more you know, the better decisions you can make. So next time when you're shopping for skincare and hair care products, use these tips and tricks so that way you don't fall for any of these marketing claims that brands are making. If you have any other questions, go ahead and leave a comment and I will answer them. If you need help decoding an ingredient list or would like to get help to reverse engineer a product, then go ahead and book a coaching call with me where I'm going to sit there and help you step by step and guide you into writing your first starting formula, as well as I will help you source the ingredients needed to make an even better product. If you enjoyed this video, I am sure you'll love the next one where I talk about the common myths about curly hair that need to be thrown out in the garbage. If you don't see a thumbnail, that means I just haven't posted it yet. So make sure that you hit the notification button and subscribe so that way you don't miss out on any other videos I make about the secrets behind the cosmetic science industry. I will talk to you guys in the next video. I appreciate all of you. Bye.